Well, that's one way to bounce back after a tough run of games, isn't it, guys? A 5-1 win away from home in the Champions League. You really couldn't ask for a better response. What's funny though is that we've actually been working on a video talking about how much we've struggled to defend set pieces. And then this happens, we go full Arsenal mode and score from 2 corners in the space of 5 minutes to completely blow Eintracht Frankfurt away. Now, was it a perfect performance? Not quite. But it was a huge step up from what we've seen in the past few matches. So if you want to know what went wrong, what went right, and which player made a real case to start more often, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Alright, let's jump straight into it. As always, we'll start with the lineup Slot went with for this game. And let's be honest, when we first saw that starting 11, we all had a few questions in mind. Mamardashvili stayed in goal with Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Jeremy Frimpong making up the backline. In midfield, we had Dominik Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, and Florian Wirtz. Further up the pitch, Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike both started, while Cody Gakpo kept his place as well. Now, why did we have questions? Well, a lot of things weren't exactly clear at first. Was Frimpong going to play as a right back or push higher up on the wing? If he did, would that mean Szoboszlai drops into a deeper role? With Gakpo starting on the left, how were Isak and Ekitike going to line up? And what about Wirtz? Where would he fit into all this? Luckily, it didn't take long before we started getting some answers on the pitch. As you can see on the screen, Frankfurt defended in a setup very similar to the one Manchester United used at the weekend. It was a 5-4-1 deep block, compact and hard to break down. So what did we do when we had the ball? We mainly operated in a 3-2-5 shape. Gakpo and Frimpong, and later Bradley, were the ones stretching the pitch by holding the width on each side. Ekitike and Isak played as a striker and a number 10, often switching positions in the middle to keep the defenders guessing. They pinned the centre-backs, made runs in behind, or dropped into pockets of space to collect the ball between the lines. Wirtz, meanwhile, mostly occupied the right half space, but had the freedom to move wherever he wanted. You could often see him drifting to the left side to link up with Gakpo or Robertson. Behind all of this, Curtis Jones was the one keeping everything flowing with the ball. He often dropped deep alongside the defenders, giving Robertson the freedom to push higher up the flank. Szoboszlai, on the other hand, played as the deep-lying passer we've been missing in recent transfer windows, constantly looking to switch play or find runners behind. Before we move any further, one player really deserves a big shout out for his performance, Curtis Jones. He provided exactly what an Arne Slot system needs. His press resistance, calmness on the ball, sharp passing, and positional awareness stood out throughout the game. Jones kept everything ticking while adding a touch of creativity and control in midfield. It does make you wonder though, after a performance like this, does our Scouser deserve more starts? Let us know what you think down in the comments. In this next sequence, you can clearly see everything we've been talking about. The team sets up in that 3-2-5 shape when we have possession, perfectly matching Frankfurt's backline. Then, you notice Jones dropping into the defensive line to help with ball circulation and keep things calm under pressure. From there, Szoboszlai becomes the easy outlet. He gets on the ball, looks up, and immediately progresses play with a line-breaking pass that finds Wirtz between the lines. Even though the initial pass was blocked, Szoboszlai reacted instantly and got back on the ball. What came next was exactly what we've been missing from midfield, his long-range passing. He spotted Isak's clever run in behind and delivered a perfect ball right into his path. If Isak had his shooting boots on, that could have easily been his first Champions League goal for us. And that's the real difference, guys. We finally have runners. Isak, Ekitike, Gakpo, and even Wirtz, they all know how to create space for each other and make those aggressive runs behind the opposition. When teams sit deep in a low block, you need that kind of movement, but you also need someone who can actually pick those passes. Right now, Szoboszlai is the only one in our midfield who has that vision and technique to find players over the defensive line. That's why keeping him in midfield rather than deeper in defense could be absolutely crucial going forward. One issue that might come from this setup though is how aggressive Szoboszlai becomes when we lose the ball. We saw glimpses of it in pre-season, and again in the Community Shield against Crystal Palace. Whenever Zobo plays in the pivot, the moment we lose possession, his first instinct is to charge forward instead of scanning his surroundings and protecting the space behind him. Combine that with Slot's insistence on keeping a +1 in the defensive line, and suddenly you've got a real problem when we're out of possession. Wait a second, you've never heard about the +1 issue before? That means you probably haven't been following our channel since last season. Don't worry though, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. See, we all agree that pressing has been one of our biggest problems, right? It's been there since Slot took charge, and honestly it keeps showing up. Even in this game, where we defended in a slightly different shape, those same pressing issues popped up again. Here you can see us defending in a 4-4-2 block. Now, with Slot's idea of keeping a +1 on the backline, which basically means having one extra defender compared to the opposition's attacking line, things can get tricky. Our midfielders end up getting pinned or dragged quite easily, and that puts a lot of pressure on our strikers. They have to press forward while also worrying about covering the space behind them, and that's just too much ground to cover. What happens next is a bit of a domino effect. Since the centre-backs are staying deep, instead of stepping into midfield, the midfielders get stuck and can't push up to support the press. As a result, our first line of pressure becomes far easier for opponents to play through, and that's when we start losing control of the game. Thankfully, even though Frankfurt had a few free players in midfield, they couldn't really take advantage of it. Still, that same principle of keeping a +1 at the back came back to haunt us for their goal. The whole sequence started after we lost possession, so technically it counts as a transition, even though Frankfurt took around 11 seconds to build up their move. The issue was that our backline stayed too rigid. You could clearly see how many players Frankfurt had pushing forward and how much space opened up in midfield because our defenders were told to hold their positions. Now, you might be wondering, why does Slot stick with this approach? Well, he's actually explained it before. He prefers keeping numerical superiority at the back to prevent the opposition from creating high-quality chances. By always having one extra defender, you can close down passing lanes faster, block shots, and double up on attackers when needed. It worked well last season, to be fair, because we did limit teams to low-quality chances. But this season, it feels like we're being punished for it. The balance between staying safe and pressing aggressively just isn't clicking right now. Thankfully, we've got a gazelle in our team that's called Hugo Ekitike, who brought us straight back into the game with a brilliant goal. It all started when we won the ball back deep in our half. Robertson spotted the run and played a perfect pass forward. What Ekitike did next was pure class. His first touch pushed him into space, giving him that burst of acceleration to pull away from his marker. Then came the second touch across the defender, perfectly timed to get his body between the ball and his man, opening up the angle for the shot. And the finish, absolutely clinical. It was the cherry on top, and a message to everyone who ever doubted the Frenchman's ability in front of goal. Not long after that, we channeled our inner arsenal and struck twice from 2 corners in the space of just 5 minutes. When we couldn't find the breakthrough from open play, set pieces became our second weapon, and honestly, long may that continue. Then came the second half and the floodgates opened. Florian Wirtz turned on the style, bagging 2 assists that should give him all the confidence he needs. Hopefully, this is the moment that kicks off his Premier League rise, because he looked every bit the star we've been waiting to see. And that wraps it up for today's video, guys. What a performance that was. After a tough few weeks, the team finally showed what they're capable of. And honestly, that's exactly what we've all been waiting to see. The energy, the goals, the hunger, it all came together in the best way possible. Of course, there are still things to work on, the pressing, the transitions, maybe a bit more control in midfield. But if we build on this performance, we might finally get back into the right track. Now we want to hear from you. Who impressed you the most in this game? Was it Ekitike with that incredible goal, Wirtz pulling the strings in midfield, or maybe Curtis Jones quietly running the show? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments and tell us who you think deserves to start the next match. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our uploads. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.